Shawna leads by example. It was wonderful to work with her and see the ability she had to sort of envision the end before the rest of us maybe even knew that there was an end.
I spent most of my career as a consultant, and I also worked for APEGS as a staff member. Although I'm retired from my profession, I'm actually the mayor of the resort village of Sunset Cove right now. And I also serve on the board of the Technical Safety Authority of Saskatchewan.
Shawna was quite willing to take some time and lend an ear or lend some good advice to young folks advancing their careers or looking for some advice on how to advance their careers.
In addition to my P.Eng status, I also have a fellow from Engineers Canada, a fellow of Canadian Society of Senior Engineers, which I also served as the first woman president of that organization, and my honorary fellow from Geoscientists Canada.
Shawna is one of the most details-oriented, logical thinkers that I know. She took a huge role in terms of moving APEGS forward in terms of governance, in terms of professional practice, in terms of an organization itself. It was great to watch, great to see, great to experience.
As a member of APEGS, to me it meant representing the profession in a respectable manner and providing services in a manner that enhanced public safety. As a volunteer and a staff member for APEGS, it was broader than that in that we were responsible for the self-regulation of the profession, so really focusing on making sure our members were competent, providing them the opportunities to be competent, and also to ensure that they were representing the organization and the professions as diligently as they could. And also providing that regulatory background for them, so getting involved with investigation discipline and just the governance of the organization.
Shawna's experience over the long term has been focused on governance and on performance enhancement related to governance, to making sure things run well, be they in the private sector or public sector.
Going through school, I really thought I was going to be a veterinarian until I took grade 12 biology. And not that I didn't like biology, but it was just too much work. It was too hard. So chemistry, physics, math, those subjects came quite easily to me. And at the time, my dad was the HR superintendent for Sask Power, and he was going all across Canada hiring engineers. So I had decided that, well, I'm not going to be a veterinarian, I'm going to take computer science. And so he said to me, no, you're not, you're going to be an engineer. So I took engineering, and that's kind of where I got into it.
Her involvement in the community reflects, her interest in seeing others grow and become more of everything from her involvement in life-saving society and that sort of thing, through to her participation and activities as a warden of Camp 25 of the Iron Ring. It's really all about mentoring younger people, younger professionals particularly.
I worked for a couple of larger international organizations and was a bit of a pioneer, I guess, at the day in environmental health and safety management systems and auditing compliance work in Canada and around the world, actually. And after I'd been working for these other organizations, I decided that I wanted to go to my own. So I had my own firm for about 15 years. Yeah, I really enjoyed my consulting career, and then my involvement with APEGS as a volunteer opened up some different ideas to me from the regulation of the profession. So I was involved in a bunch of committees prior to being on council, and one of them was the investigation committee, which to me was really interesting and really showed me how important it is to be a self-regulated profession and the role that investigation discipline serves. And then also just general governance of the organization and the practices. After being on the investigation committee, I joined council, so I was elected to council in 2004 as the first Group 7 councillor, which was the environmental position. And then in 2008, I was elected to executive committee and ultimately served as president.
I see the time Shawna spent on executive and as president as being very important to the organization as a whole. But I think some of the biggest impact might have been her time as a senior staff member with the development and creation of the CPD program and the work she did on governance for the association. that's going to have a long life, all of that.
I made a jump in 2015 to staff at APEGS, and was really appreciative that opportunity came up, because it allowed me to take my career as a consultant and move into my passion of regulating the professions to finish off my career.
I think Shawna is an example of what we all should aspire to be as engineers or geoscientists. She's a professional first, and it's about the profession and doing what we are supposed to be doing, by the act, by the legislation, and encouraging good people to become a part of that. I don't think it matters to Shawna who you are or where you come from or what your background is. If you're committed to doing what needs to be done and you have that potential, she's there behind you.
You saw a different perspective of APEGS as a volunteer than you did as a staff member. So the things that actually went on behind the doors at APEGS as a staff member, there's a lot of stuff that happens and a lot of balls in the air at any given time. So as a volunteer, you're aware of your one area that you're focusing on to try to, help the staff with. But then when you're a staff member, you're helping all of the volunteers. So you have multiple committees that you're working with. So it was a good transition and a good learning curve initially. I held a variety of positions, so I got to actually probably work with most of the committees that we had, going at the time. But probably the most important ones that I worked with were the ones that were related to the regulatory background of the profession. So the discipline committee, the licensee admissions committee, the professional practice exam committee, the CPD compliance committee, and ultimately I became staff support for council and executive committee. So kind of all the way up from the grassroots committees through the regulatory committees and then to council.
Engineering and geoscience in Saskatchewan is better off because of Shawna. She has brought so much to all of us in such a humble, quiet, but very effective way. We owe her a real debt of gratitude.
Anytime you get a chance to give back to your profession, it's important, right? You have an impact. Your voice is heard. You need to represent your membership, and you need to get out there and help your profession. It's things like that help us to show the public that we are acting in the best interest of the public, right? Not the profession.
Shawna, the profession and the province owe so much to you for all you've done and all you continue to do, that there is, no better recognition than what you're receiving here tonight that I could think of. And my sincere congratulations.